Good morning. I'm Don Safer. I'm from Nashville. I'm on the board of the Tennessee Environmental Council and a volunteer with the Tennessee chapter of the Sierra Club. Thank you for the opportunity to speak and address the board. I appreciate it. The recent disclosure of $200 million more to finish Watts Bar Unit 2 was no great surprise. Cost overruns and unexpected expenses are an ever-present reality of nuclear power. Even worse, nuclear reactors can change from an asset to a multi-billion-dollar liability quickly with an accident or botched repair. Future unbudgeted or under-budgeted expenses are a near certainty. They probably include decommissioning expenses of over $1 billion per reactor, spent fuel storage costs to upgrade existing thin steel dry storage canisters, and any further Fukushima or other accident mitigation measures. Plant Vogtle in Georgia, 2 AP1000 reactors, was projected to cost $14 billion in 2009. After 5 years of construction, it is now only 26% complete, and the current cost estimate is up to $21 billion and rising. Construction delays are ongoing. The AP1000 was the much touted hope of the now failed nuclear renaissance. Bellefonte's, TVA's Bellefonte Units 3 and 4 were formerly planned to be the pioneer first AP1000s to be built in the United States. Fortunately, TVA put those plans on hold. The board should direct staff to withdraw those licenses from NRC consideration. Unfortunately, TVA is once again pioneering the latest false hope of the nuclear industry, small modular reactors. I urge the board to critically consider and reject staff's plans to move forward with the speculative small modular reactor project near Oak Ridge. There is no design approved by the NRC. Several corporations, including TVA's First Choice, have curtailed their SMR programs because of uncertain economics. Hoped-for cost benefits are likely to disappear with the high likelihood of significant cost overruns. It is important to remember that our current nuclear plants were built large for economies of scale because the original smaller reactors were not economically viable. Instead, the board should direct staff to focus new generation resources into energy efficiency, renewable energy, and energy storage. While global nuclear generation is stagnant to shrinking, renewables are seeing unprecedented growth. That growth is being fueled by cost reductions and enormous environmental benefits. TVA has added some wind and solar, but needs to do more now to make renewables the core of its future energy mix, sooner rather than later. This board is the regulatory authority that has the power to change TVA's direction. I urge you to do just that. Thank you.
Good morning, members of the board, Mr. Johnston. I'm Sandy Kurtz, an environmental educator serving on the boards of Tennessee Environmental Council, Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League, and the Urban Century Institute, and I also sit on the Citizens Advisory Panel for Watts Bar 2. I recently returned from COP21 in Paris, the conference of parties where the Paris Agreement was honed and agreed to on December 12th. As you no doubt know, representatives from 196 countries came together to fashion a framework for climate action. The atmosphere was electric and positive, intergenerational and global. There was a sense of urgency. The feeling was that we cannot wait as the rate and level of greenhouse gases accelerates and the planet warms. We met many from low-lying countries and islands who already see negative effects from melting ice and rising sea levels. The U.S. is not immune from these impacts, and neither is Tennessee. Time doesn't permit a full outline of the framework, but the goal is to keep our planet from warming more than hopefully 1.5 degrees Celsius, no more than 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. There's a ratcheting up of countries' plans every 5 years and built-in transparency so we can all know what the plans are. There are also accompanying pledges of funding to assure fairness and equity among those marginalized or displaced or damaged because of climate change, along with funds for new research and development. This is a wonderful market signal for innovation and technology to scale up renewable energy and low-carbon solutions and for new jobs. Now all the parties have returned to their countries to implement the plans. It was agreed that each country must do their part to cut carbon emissions with all due speed. The Paris Agreement asks countries to present and act on plans to reduce greenhouse gas emissions that will slow the rate of climate change. Countries are thus free to make their own choices about energy sources that they would use to enact their plans. These can include hydro, solar, wind, energy efficiency, ocean tidal, geothermal conservation, yet unknown technological discoveries, and yes, nuclear. During the negotiations, the nuclear industry pushed very hard to get nuclear power chosen as a preferred source for reducing global emissions. I come to tell you today that the nuclear industry and their advocates were not successful. Nuclear power was not seen as the answer to controlling climate change. The framework asked countries to first quickly reduce their emissions before mitigation efforts. In that scenario, nuclear is too slow to build. Then there is the risk, the waste legacy, and loss of land that could be used for agriculture. While countries still can choose nuclear power as part of their plans, it's not likely, primarily because it's just too expensive. I urge TVA as a public power entity to stop spending money on Bellefonte and get in front of the global curve. Lead the way to get out of the nuclear and fossil fuel business. Skip over gas as a bridge fuel too, for as I learned from an American methane research scientist, methane is faster acting in the atmosphere than carbon dioxide, hurting our chances for quick emissions reduction. Please set serious goals that will move us into the new cleaner air and water future with all due speed. A global movement has begun. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lou Zeller. I'm Executive Director of the Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League, which has chapters and projects from Alabama to Georgia and to Virginia. As you may know, the Atomic Safety Licensing Board has ordered you to justify its continued pursuit of an application for license at Bellefonte Units 3 and 4 in Hollywood, Alabama. Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League and others have intervened in that licensing procedure ever since 2008. The Atomic Safety Licensing Board has ordered this because there is a move towards settlement. We have been involved ever since last summer with possible settlement negotiations to terminate the proceeding. But it would be unfair and illegal to terminate a proceeding at which interveners have both proved standing, and we have over 40 people in Northeast Alabama area who have signed declarations providing standing, and legal arguments admitted before the Atomic Safety and Licensing Board. It's too late to go back. Therefore, on behalf of the Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League and our chapter, Bellefonte Efficiency and Sustainability Team, and the Mothers Against Tennessee River Radiation, we propose that the Tennessee Valley Board of Directors do the following: that you direct TVA to withdraw its combined license application for Bellefonte Units 3 and 4 nuclear reactors. We believe that it's the most prudent course of action for the authority, its customers, and the general public. You have two options that we see: either withdraw the license application and end the ongoing bleeding of funds to the tune of $50 million a year for an ill-starred project launched in 1974, or continue the unresolved and wasteful status quo for a few more decades. I don't need to point out that your 2015 IRP does not posit new need for baseload until 2033. To keep this adjudication going is an expensive process. It is wasteful. This is the zombie reactor, it has been dubbed in the newspapers. We think that the prudent course of action is to stanch the bleeding and to move on. Thank you for listening to my arguments today. The letter which I have given you here today lines out the law and the jurisprudence that we have put together. By tomorrow, you will have filed your reply to the Atomic Safety Licensing Board. The interveners will get our chance in March. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm Gary Morgan. I'm from Scottsboro, Alabama. I am here representing the Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League and our local chapter over at Scottsboro in Jackson County, the Bellefonte Efficiency and Sustainability Team, and Mothers Against Tennessee River Radiation. Y'all are appreciated. I always enjoy coming here, particularly Chattanooga. Chattanooga is a city of culture. I like to come to Chattanooga, and I also like Huntsville. You know, from small town America, it's always good to come to the big city. It's always good to see you folks. It's what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is the debt, and ask you the question to seriously consider, why are you still thinking about Bellefonte 3 and 4? It's already been mentioned. Mr. Zeller talked about it. Mr. Safer talked about it. The cost is tremendous. And that's what I want to talk to you about. I want to create a picture. I want you to visualize what the weight of TVA's debt is. And you know, Mr. Thomas does a fine job about talking about, and Mr. Johnston does a fine job talking about the debt as far as congressional mandates go. But there's more just that. You have the interest on the debt. We don't hear too much about that, and that interest is about equal to the debt. In today's terms, if you include the short-term debt, along with the variable interest entities, you're talking about close to $50 billion. In other words, about $49 billion and some change. And how much is that money? I mean, if you can picture how much that money is and how much it weighs, and I've outlined this for you in the handouts and the enclosures, it actually weighs 980,000 pounds. Can you imagine that? And how you come to that, $1 billion is 10 pallets weighing a ton each. You know, and now think about transfer trucks, semi-trucks you see running up and down the road, all seen them. You know how many transfer trucks it takes to carry that dead weight? It would take 25 of them. That's a bunch. Carried 40,000 pounds apiece, one of them would be a little shy. But that is the weight we as ratepayers and all of you carry. All of us carry that weight. And we'll be paying on that for years and years and years out. How much would it cost to complete Bellefonte 1, 2, 3, and 4? Anywhere from $40 to $50 billion. Equal to your debt. You can't afford it. Just for Bellefonte 3 and 4, it is estimated, based on Vogel and other AP 1000 plants that's being worked on today, anywhere from $12 to $15 billion, possibly more. And there's no power need for it. So 50 years in the future, my grandchildren, your grandchildren, our children's children, we're not going to recognize that power. There is no need for it. To continue on this charade with the Atomic Safety Licensing Board, you're wasting your time. You're wasting the efforts of valuable resources. You're wasting our efforts. We got other things to do too. You know, but in NRC, Nuclear Regulatory Commission, you're wasting their efforts and time. But think about it. A lot of times we don't think about environment and the people. We are the pinnacle of the environment. And about the debt, you know, that $5.4 billion shortfall of the pension, you've heard folks talk about, that's part of the debt too. Us, the ratepayers, we're responsible for that 5.4 shortfall. Think about it. Think about the enormity of the debt. I appreciate your time, and because we may not agree on the issues of nuclear power, we love y'all. Because you are giving us electricity and doing a good job of providing it, and we appreciate it, but please consider this debt, and please consider the waste of time, energy, and resources on Bellefonte 3 and 4. It's not needed. We ask you to stop. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Johnston. I'm also with the Bellefonte Efficiency and Sustainability Team and Mothers Against Tennessee River Radiation. As my colleagues have shown, nuclear really is financially irresponsible, but it also is leaving environmental debt to future generations that they may not be able to pay. The rapidly advancing world of modern technology, modern energy technologies, in that world, nuclear is just a lumbering behemoth. It takes a very long time to come online and is really an antiquated technology. For the planet, it simply trades the known carbon pollutant emissions for the invisible and indeterminately harmful nuclear emissions. Whereas we know most of the ill effects of carbon, today's radioactive pollution is causing environmental and health issues that continue for thousands of generations. Radioactive tritium levels are increasing rapidly in the Chattanooga drinking water. This is unfilterable tritium. It is it's allowed by lenient tritium regulations, but it is known to bioaccumulate in all living organisms, and we are drinking it on a continual daily basis. Radioactive tritium can permeate every cell of the human body, and it is known to damage DNA. TVA has a mandate to lead the nation in energy innovation, but not just from 20th century nuclear technology. We need you to move into the 21st century. We all keep asking you this, over and over, please. We just urge you to move our nation toward truthfully clean, sustainable, renewable, cost-effective energy. TVA can build an infrastructure on the infrastructure that's already in place at Bellefonte and create a less expensive, modern solar plant on the Bellefonte site. It's an ideal location for solar. It can have backup energy from the midstream generators in the rapid, the swift current that's there right at the Bellefonte site and that channel. And or it can be from stored hydro energy right across the river. There's a very steep hill there that goes up, onto that plateau. It's an ideal location for solar. The cost of solar energy are far less than nuclear, both financially and environmentally. And the project could be completed both quickly and incrementally with a built-in flexibility. We just wonder, why do you persist in this nuclear embarrassment? At Bellefonte, TVA began building this problem-prone fiasco 42 years ago and has wasted $4.2 billion on it with not 1 watt of electricity. Fortunately, it has not been contaminated with nuclear yet, so it could be converted to solar. Has a feasibility study been done on solar at Bellefonte, the cost of solar at Bellefonte? And if not, I just ask you, why not? The infrastructure is in place. TVA could turn Bellefonte investment into a model solution. We asked TVA, this board, to turn this ship around before it hits a nuclear iceberg.